Welcome to the Rise to Shine podcast with Noelle Kustas, where we ignite the spark to discover your favorite self. It is time to get real, ladies. Hello, and welcome to the Rise to Shine podcast. I'm your host, Noelle Kustas, and I am so happy that you are here today. We're going to be talking about something that is honestly pretty new to me, and that is astrology. I'm so excited. I'm just going to say it right now. I have lots of questions, and I love to talk about this. We're going to be exploring this together with, I love to just say, with curiosity and with openness. And I just really want to have a sense of fun. So you don't need to know anything. You don't have to have certain beliefs around this. Just come along for the conversation and see what resonates for you. And what makes this episode extra special is that today's guest is someone who has been a part of my life in the most full circle way. I think that's the best way that I can say that. I actually taught her when she was a little girl. I say a little girl, she was only in second grade. Yes, really. And watching her grow into this incredible woman she is today is one of those moments that makes you realize you never know how lives will intersect again later. And joining us today is Katherine Wehler. She is a professional astrologer and a business and soul coach who helps visionary leaders align their purpose with strategy to create meaningful success and wealth impact. She built a 7-figure business before the age of 30 and is really known for just blending this mystical with the practical, and she helps people create lives and businesses that are really rooted in alignment and freedom, abundance. You guys, this is so amazing. Her work has actually been featured. I'm going to brag on her because she was one of my students. I have to. Her work was featured in outlets like Bustle and the Daily Mail, and she's also led programs and conversations around the world. But at her core, Katherine is passionate about helping people redefine success in a way that feels authentic, it feels joyful and deeply aligned. So whether you're curious like I am, or maybe even a little skeptical, that's okay too, or you're just here for a fun conversation, I promise you, you are in the right place. So Katherine, I am so proud of you and I'm so excited to have you here today. Welcome.
Thank you. I feel like it's like what were they, like parent teacher conference or something
So true.
that I get to like be in on. I'm like, can you do my intro for everything? I'll just
Oh,
bring you with me. No, I'm so honored to be here and I'm like getting like emotional, which I wasn't
oh,
expecting. It's such a beautiful full circle moment. Because what you guys don't know is that Noelle is the reason I'm an astrologer.
see, that gets me emotional. I still, when I hear this, I go, that's it's just,
It's
wow.
so crazy because she put me in a reading group with a boy. I had a crush on that boy. And I needed to know if we were compatible. My good guy friend to this day, shout out to him. But yeah, I needed to know if we were compatible. And I just found like something in a magazine one day that was talking about Venus, and I was an avid reader at the time. People always question if I've really been an astrologer for 25 years, and I'm like, now I can just give them this episode and be like, there's my second grade teacher right
Right.
there to affirm like I just was that weirdo kid that was super into Greek mythology and Egyptian mythology.
I can vouch for this. I can vouch for this.
Just reading like college level textbooks on it. So that I got
Yeah.
at the library. So, anyways, all of that to say that I started, coaching my fellow children on the playground about whether or not they were compatible with their crush. I remember Haley was like a Leo and Luis was Sagittarius. And I was like, oh, this is such a match. Like I ripped out the pages from the magazine and I was like, so, so it really is such a beautiful full circle moment because back then I wasn't planning on being a professional astrologer. I wasn't planning on the life that I have now. And the irony is that you can see all of this in my astrology, like very, very literally, that even
Wow.
you would be a catalyst for it, that, my friend would be a catalyst for it. So it's just so beautiful. And I'm just gobsmacked. I just finished my Saturn return, which I've told you about, which is
Yeah.
basically just this amazing moment in time of finding your life's work as an adult. And mine brought me full circle back to Noelle and her space and this podcast.
No, it's
Like
so wild,
that was
Catherine.
my Saturn return.
And those of you that are like, I don't even know what she's talking about, we're going to get into that. So you
Yeah.
do. And I love that. And
Yeah.
it makes my heart swell too, because first of all, it's so fun to see your students grow up into these amazing humans. And then the cherry on top is when you get to have them back into your life in a way that has been so profound for me because again, this is not a world that I have ever been in. Like I knew I was a Sagittarius. That is literally all I knew. And then
Right.
people would send me something. I'd have friends go, knowing that I'm a Sagittarius, they would say like, oh, this is so you, Noelle. And it's like a meme on Instagram. And I'm like, yeah, totally. And I had no idea,
You're
but
triple fire, by the way. You're
that
an
was,
Aries rising, Sagittarius sun, Leo moon.
and tell me what that means exactly.
This basically means that it does not get more fiery than you. Like,
Ooh, see? Okay, okay.
qualification of the
Family, I want you to hear that. Please hear that, my friends. No, I love it. And it really has been so beautiful because not only has this
yeah.
resonated with me personally, but also you have like shed light into my business and into some of the communities that I am running and founding. And it has been a huge game changer just knowing this more about myself and knowing like how this works even in the simplest terms, and I'm still learning. So this is why I am so excited about this conversation because I always walk away with even more. So talk about a cool moment. I mean, when I say full circle, I'm like, I always say, Catherine, you're now my teacher, which is so awesome. It's just so
That's
cool.
surreal.
Yeah, it is. It is. I love it. But let's start simple. We're going to just kind of start simple just to bring everyone along with us. So, again, whether you're brand new to astrology or have been secretly checking your horoscope for
I
years,
love newbies. I love come on
exactly.
in. You are welcome.
Exactly. I love it. But yeah, I would love for you to help us understand what this world really looks like and how it can actually support us in our lives because I definitely feel more so than ever that that is my truth. And so we're going to kind of do a little astrology 101. So for someone who's completely new, Catherine, what is astrology really and what is it not?
That is a really fantastic question. So astrology at its core is it's an energetic system that acts like a map. So basically the core principle of astrology is correlation, not causation. So it's not that the planets are making you do anything. And it's not that like you don't have any free will or like da 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 da. It's none of that. I know a lot of folks who identify as Christian or maybe religious are listening to this,
Mhm.
and maybe have questions about that. I grew up Christian myself and have been really into theology my whole life. And astrology has a long history with the church, even
Mhm.
because it really is this idea of connecting to the divine, however you define that. So basically, the tenet of astrology is there is a snapshot of the sky, right? Of where everything is astrologically when you are born. So this
Mhm.
includes planets like your sun, your moon, your Mercury, your Mars, and they're all in houses. So it looks like a big pie when you look at your chart. They're all in houses, and houses are basically areas of life. So, like home and family, or money and financial management, self-identity. So you get this chart when you are born, right? That is determined by your exact place, date, and time of birth.
Mhm.
And with this chart, you experience an evolution your entire life as the planets continue to move. So
Mhm.
it's not stagnant. Like you're not just a Sagittarius, you're a Sagittarius sun, I believe in the 10th house. It's like right up by your midheaven, which is your highest life purpose in astrology. But you're a Sagittarius sun who has gone through Pluto being in Sagittarius, who has gone through Uranus being where it is and all these planets, right? Mercury is in Sagittarius every year, and you have all these other parts of your chart as well. So it's not a stagnant system. It's a
Mhm.
system that is very founded in, again, correlation, not causation. So, like this map of the universe that reflects what's going on Earth,
Mhm.
and the evolution of that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is like it's always living and breathing, right? I mean, yes, it's our birth chart. Like we have a birth chart, but I feel like because everything is moving, there's movement to this process or this journey,
So
right?
much of it. All
Yeah.
of astrology is about a cyclical nature. It's literally a
Yeah.
circle. It's the circle of life, right?
Hmm.
If you will. And I knew I'd make a Lion King reference on this. Speaking of Saturn return. But yeah, it really is the circle of life. Like it's cyclical in nature. So it's all about the different life chapters and phases that we go through. Sometimes once in a lifetime, sometimes multiple times in a
Mhm.
lifetime, depending on which planets we're talking about. But that's really my favorite part of astrology is it is just this gorgeous map for not only your foundational energy, but all the different ways that you change in a lifetime and grow and what your
Yeah.
growth wants to be.
Right. And I feel like again, going to like 101, I'm just going to put this question out here because I feel like this can maybe be like a misconception, but
Yeah.
is astrology about predicting the future or is it more about understanding ourselves and the timing?
Yeah, it's definitely more about understanding ourselves. Most astrologers would say that they're far more interested in looking at patterns of the past than they
Mm,
are predicting a future.
right.
We can look at what is going on in your astrology. Like at the moment, I'm doing my 2026 one-to-one sessions. And because we as astrologers have been tracking this over thousands of years, and we know what happens when Uranus goes into Gemini in the sixth house, right? That's like an upcoming transit that everyone is going through is Uranus and Gemini. Because we know what that means, I'm able to look at someone's chart and say, okay, here are the themes of what you might personally experience with this,
Mhm.
and here is how to navigate that. But it's not saying, okay, like this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. It's just more so, again, reading a book and kind of having this sense of like, okay, I know where this story is headed, but I'm actually
Mm,
going to read the book anyways so that I can
yeah.
get every single word and every single page.
I love that. That definitely like helps me to kind of visualize that or think about that in that way. Now, what are the big three I feel like everyone talks about? They always talk about the sun, the moon, and the rising. What do they reveal about us? What is that about?
Yeah, great question. So the big three are your sun, your moon, and your rising, otherwise
Mhm.
known as the ascendant. And the reason they're considered the big three is because they determine basically the rest of your chart. And they determine the relationship to the other planets in your chart.
Mhm.
So, your sun, this is what most people know when you hear like star sign or zodiac sign, right?
Right.
That is the sun's positioning when you are born, and the sun moves a degree a day. So, there's 30 degrees in each sign. So, for instance, during Sagittarius season, the sun is at 5 degrees, 6 degrees, 7 degrees, all the way up
Right.
to 30 during a season, right?
Mhm.
About a month's time. So the sun in the birth chart is where your identity is the most illuminated, right? Because you think of the energy of the sun casting light, giving warmth, right? So this is where your identity is rooted. This is how you often see yourself. Even
Hmm.
depending on your own chart, if others don't see you that way, this is how you feel yourself. For instance,
Okay.
I'm an Aries sun. I know myself to be kind of impatient and very fiery.
Uh-huh.
And like a go-getter and someone who doesn't take no for an answer, but someone who
Right.
meeting me might see my Cancer ascendant first. They see the nurturer,
Okay.
they see the caretaker,
Mm.
they see this soft divine feminine essence before they see the Aries. So your ascendant is where the sun was on the horizon when you were born. And
Okay.
this is what determines the houses. So your ascendant is how you come across when people first meet you. So for you, you're a Sagittarius sun, but you're an Aries ascendant or an Aries rising, right?
Hmm.
So you come across extra fiery. And then when they look internally, they're like, oh, and she's just more fire. Layers of
Is that good or bad, Catherine?
I love it. I mean, I'm an Aries and like I like fire energy personally. And then your moon, this is the really tender part of your chart. This is like what determines your life satisfaction. So I love the moon. I'm such a Cancer rising. Cancer is ruled by the moon. And I love the moon. I love the moon because the moon changes about every 2 days in the chart.
Okay.
It is the fastest moving planet. So we make a full moon cycle every single month, right?
Hmm.
So the moon is your emotions. This is your heart. This is what, at the end of the day, like you live for. This is what brings you that emotional clarity and satisfaction and feeling of like life is good. Life is worth
Yeah.
living, right? So you can see how these three are such heavy hitters because you've got your identity, you've got your persona, how you come across, right? Even your
Mhm.
physicality. And then
Yeah.
you've got your innermost tender part of you and what you really want and desire out of life to feel good.
Oh, I love that. Well, I'm curious about this. What
Yeah.
surprises people the most when they first learn about their chart?
I think the thing I hear most often is, how do you know my life?
Totally.
Like,
I can see that.
yeah, because it seems kind of like a parlor trick from the outside.
Mm.
Even sometimes when I'm on calls with clients, they're like, "Oh, it's so cute that you look to the stars." And I'm like, "No, no, no. I'm like looking at your like memorized, chart in my head. I'm not going to another dimension." Astrology is it's geocentric. So it's all about
Mm.
what's happening on Earth. It's actually a very grounding force for me, which is why I've done it all these years.
Interesting. Okay.
So I think what surprises people most is how accurate it is. When you work with an astrologer who is worth their salt and
Yeah.
knows what they are doing, I
Mhm.
mean, I know everything about you the second I get your chart. There are no secrets. No.
So beware,
Yeah.
beware.
And
But I will verify that. I mean, that was something that I think was probably my first reaction was,
yeah,
oh my gosh, this just makes so much sense. And I've never been able to make sense of it.
yeah.
So I could see that.
Yeah, I mean, I've never heard a single person say, no, that doesn't resonate. In the
Mm.
thousands and thousands and thousands of readings I've done over 25 years, I have not heard
Wow.
one single person say that. I have
That's
only
wild.
ever heard people say, how do you know me so well? These are things I don't even talk about with my husband or my closest of friends. I haven't even told my business coach this. One of
Wow.
my first clients told me, she said, you helped me more in this 30-minute session than my 6 years of therapy. Because it
Mm.
just is that it's you. It's literally, I'm looking at a snapshot of you when I'm looking
Right.
at your astrology.
Well, and this is what I love, and this is where I want to. So now that you guys like, kind of have some basics to just at least wrap your brain around a little bit, I
Yeah.
want to get into relationships a little bit
Mhm.
because I would love for you to answer, how can astrology help us understand relationships, whether that be romantic or friendships, even family dynamics? How
Yeah,
how does astrology help us in that?
this is the favorite part of
I know you love to talk
astrology.
about this. I love it too.
I'm such a Libra moon. I love really no, but I love it because I find it so fascinating. Like I find human behavior fascinating. It was why I was professional actor before what I do now because
Right?
I just loved observing people and understanding like motivation and intention behind things, right? And all the different archetypes of people that exist and how they interact with one another.
Yeah.
And that's really with relationship astrology, what it is it's like, okay, I'm coming in with this specific energy, you're coming in with this other energy, and how are those two meeting each other, right?
Hmm.
Like for you and I, when you're like, is that a good thing? I'm like, well, for me, it is. For someone who has a
Right.
bunch of earth in their chart who doesn't
Yeah.
love fire, they might be like, whoa, that person's really intense. But for me, as an Aries sun, I'm like, hell yeah, I love it. Give me Noelle all day. Right.
Right.
But relationship astrology is just so fascinating because it really helps you understand the other person.
Mm,
And it also helps you understand your dynamic. So whether
mm,
this is parent to child, spouse to spouse, coach to mentee, it doesn't matter. It can be literally any relationship. It can be you to Jacob Elordi if we wanted to run that chart.
oh boy. Don't tell my
Don't
husband, but yeah, go ahead and run that one. No, I've been a little obsessed lately.
always, but it's because we have amazing synastry. You look at your sorry, Andy, you look at your relationship astrology with Jacob Elordi, and it's like, of course you love him because that's the kind of person. And spoiler, he and Andy have things in common. That's the kind
Mm,
of person that you gravitate towards, right? That's
yeah.
the kind of person, if you were meeting him, gravitates towards you. So I even use relationship astrology, aka synastry, in my business coaching and my
Mm,
wealth coaching when it
mhm,
comes to attracting aligned opportunities, aligned clients, aligned partnerships, working with aligned coaches. It really helps to know,
mhm,
again, what are the two individual contracts, right? Soul contracts for these folks. And what is that
mhm,
when they come together? How do
mm,
they complement each other, contradict each other, balance each other, all these things? Because you can have a relationship to everyone. Certain people, there's just going to be that click, especially during certain phases of life. There's just going to be
yeah.
that click for a multitude of reasons, whether they
Mhm,
are a mirror to you or a balance to you, depending on what you're looking for. But it's
yeah.
the fascinating part to me, going back to the earlier part of the conversation, it's my favorite part of life, which is how
Mm,
we impact one another,
mm,
because it's
I love
great
that.
to be an individual, but you're no one until someone loves you. Like you're no one until you love somebody else. And that
Mm.
relationship piece of things is just so interesting to me personally.
Yeah, that's so fascinating. I mean, it's just bringing up so many different thoughts because even going back, and I mean, not that we'll get stuck here because I could, but going back to Jacob Elordi, and it's funny because the first instinct is people go, "Oh my gosh, the new Wuthering Heights, and this is like the new thing." And two things that came to mind when you said that, when you said, "Oh, spoiler alert, like Andy is very much, similar to some of those traits that he has." And immediately when you said that, I go, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that because I think about what it is that makes me swoon over this boy. Is that I go, first of all, he met my son and he was so kind. Like just such a kind soul. He was going through a line. They were in a big, it was at the what am I trying to say? It was like a film festival, and my son was getting to be there on the red carpet. And he had, I felt I could hear my son in hit because he was videotaping it, and I could hear him go, "Oh my gosh, there's Jacob Elordi!" And he was so excited. And rather than Jacob, because I mean, there were hundreds of people. and he was kind of like walking by and he's saying hello to everybody, he's so kind.
Mhm.
And then my son goes, Jacob, I'm so excited about he was there featuring Frankenstein, the movie that he was in,
Um,
right before Wuthering Heights. And then, but Ryan had mentioned that movie and he came back around and he was like, okay, I think it caught his attention. But
yeah.
rather than just being like, yeah, yeah, whatever, you're like a 16-year-old kid, he was like, really, what is it about it that you're excited about? And he was like genuinely interested. And then Ryan's like, can I get a picture with you? And he was like, of course. And that,
Yeah.
as a mom, I think that was like, that was very sweet. I loved that. But then he comes out in this movie, and I go see this movie, and I just go, oh my goodness gracious. That's a whole nother conversation. We could probably have a whole podcast around that movie. But what I recognize and what was that similar to my husband is this, of course, I think my husband is, super hot and I just am totally attracted to him physically, all the
Right.
girl talk. But there's also this beautiful essence about them. And I remember even Margot Robbie talking about the time where, and I think everybody has seen this interview. I'm covered for those of you that are watching, you see me, but like he just covered her face from the rain naturally.
Yeah.
That was not in the script. And they talk about this all the time of just what a gentleman he is, but yet he can be so attractive and all the things, but he's got this genuine, beautiful soul about him. And that is why I think I swoon over him because I'm like, oh my gosh, he's not only super attractive, but he's so kind and he's just so great. I
Yeah.
don't know him in real life. I mean, I'm believing that is who he is to the core.
Yeah.
That is what, but I did get that experience just through my son, and I think that's what's so beautiful about the astrology that I'm learning is that there
Yeah.
is this, knowing the birth charts, knowing what it is that brings in the whole relationship component, even with our children, and even understanding family and friends better. Like it's
Yeah.
just a beautiful tool, really.
100%. Well, and you know what's so funny about this conversation too is Jacob also has very similar astrology to the person who I had the crush on in second grade. And the reason
Mm.
I had the crush is because when Charlotte died in Charlotte's Web in our two-person
Oh,
reading group,
I know what you're gonna say here.
he comforted me.
Yeah,
I mean, like, and I thought I like this sweet, smart fun
right.
boy, right? So it really is that beautiful thing of, again, I can look in my chart and I can see, okay, that's why that energy draws me in and even
Hmm.
catalyzed an entire career, right? Or why
Yeah.
our relationship started with you being my teacher and catalyzing my whole life, right? And
Hmm.
beyond just like the astrology thing too, you guys, I mean, Noelle was like one of my biggest champions. Like, I genuinely would not be the person I am today without teachers like her, like Miss Dutot, like people who just were exactly what I needed at that time in my life, like saw my certain kind of specific brilliance and said, we need to create space for this,
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
I want to acknowledge this. So I just think that it's so cool because it's like even the second I got my hand on your chart, I started getting emotional because I was like, well, no wonder, because look at our synastry. Like it was
Hmm.
always going to be this like multi-decade, and now we're in it. Now we're in it for the rest of our lives.
Oh, totally.
There's no getting rid of me, but it was always going to be this. And, if I had been as studied as I am now at 7 years old and I'd seen that, I would have been like, oh, that's really interesting. I wonder how that plays out. It's so gorgeous because that was always our destiny.
Hmm.
And now looking at your chart, I'm like, and I can consciously see that. And I can consciously see that, like, we haven't completed that. Like, it's literally a growth process of
Yeah.
where are we going to go next? So I just
Hmm.
think that that's so gorgeous.
Yeah, no, I do too. It's been so special. And, and being someone that has not really been introduced to any of this in the past, other than very basic form of it, it has just been just as beautiful for me to experience this and learn this about not only myself, but about you and others. And Yeah, it has. It's just been very beautiful. It's been very emotional at times for me too. And and I say the same thing. I, as a teacher, we say that we're not allowed, you're not supposed to have your favorites. But what I will say is there are the ones that just stand out to you in such a significant way. And for those of you that do not know us and our history, I was at a brand new school. We had just opened this school, so we were all like deer in the headlights. It was a whole new concept of education for all of us. It was an international baccalaureate school, so very different than where we had all been teaching before. I was young. I mean, I was definitely like mid 20s. And I was having my first baby. I was pregnant with Alexa in this first year of teaching, which I was trying to hide the pregnancy, for a while because I was going, oh, great. I just started a new job and I'm going to have to tell my principal I'm pregnant. Like, oh my goodness. So, anyway, all that to say is Catherine absolutely was a standout in my class. I mean, there just is no denying that. Her and her crush, by the way, were standouts in my classroom. And it was one of those things. I hadn't had children before. So I didn't, I was just navigating it from a lens of being a teacher and a new one at that. I had only been teaching for a couple of years. And I just was like, what is it about this girl? Like, I always said she was like my little unicorn. That is what I was just like. She just beat to her own drum. She added so much beauty into our space, the energy. Now that I understand energy, I go, huh, oh my gosh, she was such a force in our space. And and I remember thinking, what do I do? Like, I have to create a space for her because it's not aligning. Like, there were kids in our classroom in second grade that, like, just didn't even get the level that she was at yet. And I always said she was just so beyond her years. And she was reading material that, like, I was like, again, my other second graders were just learning how to, like, spell their name and read a sentence, let alone, like, we're going to pick out all of the things that I
This
was
is
going to.
all the haters who question if I've been an astrologer.
That's right.
I get it
That's
all the
right.
time
This
from
is
fellow astrologers. They're always like, no, you haven't. Maybe you liked it. And I'm like, no, I literally was though.
Oh no, you literally
I
were,
was
and
not
you were
weirdo.
yes, I will fully vouch. Like, I'm like, yes, this has been a practice for a very long time. This was in her. You are so gifted in what you do, and I was in awe of you then. I'm in awe of you now, and I just feel so blessed that that we have been able to come back together and just kind of live out the rest of our lives in this space together, which is so
Yeah.
cool. And which also leads me because you were mentioning it earlier
Mhm.
about just kind of like life direction, whether it be business or just your sole purpose or whatever that is. So how
Mhm.
can someone use astrology to just gain clarity when they're maybe feeling stuck or if they're feeling like they're at a crossroads or something like that?
Yeah. Well, I really do think that the way that I talk about astrology is like it's a language because it truly
Mm,
is. So there are different levels to that language depending on how much you want to access.
mm,
Always an advocate for starting if you want to go deep, like if you really want to use it for your business or your wealth, or like you want to apply it to something, you don't just
mm.
want to dabble, definitely hire an astrologer. It does not have to be me, it can be whoever you resonate with, but hi, hello, it can be me. And if it aligns, but seriously, like hire someone who is in integrity of what they're teaching and what they're charging. It needs to be said in this day and age. And someone who has your best interest at heart, hire them, have them look at your chart and tell you those things. Because again, I'm working with clients after 25 years of studying and practicing astrology, right?
Mhm.
And so the way that I talk about it is If you don't do that, if you decide to go the DIY route,
Mhm.
it's like a language. It's like, if you all of
So
a
true.
sudden decided that you wanted to read a college level textbook in Spanish, you would hire an interpreter. And that's what an
Mhm.
astrologer is, a professional astrologer, versus trying to get through all of that on your own, right?
Yeah.
So when you first learn astrology and you learn, like, I'm a Sagittarius sun, well, that's good information right there. That's like saying, like,
Mhm.
hola, ¿cómo estás? Right? Or like, ¿dónde está el baño? Right?
Yeah.
Like saying these little phrases, but then when you like really get into it, it's like, okay, now I can have like quiero poder, la, 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 it's like you can have
Right.
a whole conversation, you can read the whole text. So the reason I say all of that is because you can use astrology for everything and
Mhm.
anything.
Mhm.
And there are even astrologers that are trained in things like forensics or,
Wow.
yeah, like there are
Amazing.
astrologers that follow investment markets. There are astrologers for everything.
It makes
So,
sense. Yeah.
mhm. So I would definitely pick the person who is specialized in what you're wanting to explore and discover. Like if
Mhm.
that is business or wealth or relationships, again, more than welcome to work with me because that's what I specialize in. Like
Yeah.
that's what I help people with. But I would start there. And then from there, you can really use it to look at anything, like
Mhm.
literally anything. Like I said, if it is business, since this is my specialty, if it is business, we can look at your chart and we can look at who is that ideal client? How do
Mhm.
I call them in? Where are they hanging out? How do I even speak to this person? A lot of my work is about polarity and how to
Mm.
hold the space for that specific person. That's my space to hold and why they're hiring me. But also, how do I connect to them on that level that gets their attention in the first place? Because it's
Yeah.
the opposite space of what I'm naturally holding, right? So if
Mhm.
I'm a Cancer rising and I'm holding that space. How do I speak to that Capricorn one-to-one client or that
Right.
Taurus group client holding my Scorpio space? Right?
Mhm.
So I think that's a really fascinating conversation. Again, it's very similar with like the love readings or just parent to child, any kind of relationship reading. We're going to be looking at your synastry together. We're going to be looking at your composites, which is what is the overall energy of the entire dynamic of the relationship.
Mhm.
So, as far as how people begin using it, I think really zero in on like, okay, this is why I'm wanting to get into this, even if it's just curiosity, which is okay too.
Yeah.
Just to be
Mhm.
like, I'm bored, I'd like to do a reading, I'd like to know more about myself, like that's always available as well. You
Yeah.
know?
And that's kind of how we started. I mean, I was
Yeah.
like, I literally know nothing. And then from that, it evolved into now her pouring into me in regards to my business, my relationships, that kind of thing. And I can honestly say, and of course, this is a little plug too, but I have to say, just through being in each other's worlds, you are a part of our collective, which is our local community that we have here where we are in person and meet. And she has been a huge resource for so many of the women in our group that, again, were just maybe curious at the beginning. There were even some naysayers that were like, nope, not my thing, like, not going to do this. And now,
I've converted
kind of having
everybody.
a different perspective.
Now they're
um,
messaging me like, wait, did you know this? Oh my God,
right.
crazy. I love astrology.
Totally. So it's been really fun, and I do think that, like, it does bring an insight and a perspective that you may have never considered before
Yeah.
that will actually make sense for you. And so that's why I say, if anything, be curious.
Yeah.
If that feels aligned for you, be curious because it really is. And Catherine is such a safe space in this arena because I do think, we see so many things, we hear so many things, and this is why I wanted to bring her on because I fully trust her and I know that this is a deep work that she does. Yes, it's a gift, but it is like she's practiced this. She is learn the craft, as you would say, I guess. But so that my trust aligns with knowing that this is someone safe to be able to ask those questions.
Yeah, and 100% confidential too, obviously,
Yes. Yeah.
and non-judgmental. I mean, I'm literally like not
Yeah,
at
because believe me, I came at her with some hard questions too. I was like, wait a minute, okay, like I'm
I've
a little
seen
freaked
and
out by
heard
this. Can you tell me a little more
everything.
about this? Yeah, yeah.
I've seen and heard everything, and my friends will tell you, like, I'm just not judgmental by nature. Like, I'm a
Mhm.
curious person, and I always am just like very open in that way. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that again, like, that's just the beauty of it is, again, there's so many different ways to work with it. And if you just want to
Mhm.
dip that toe in and explore what are these basic foundational pieces of me, that is a fantastic place to start.
Yeah, I love that. Well, before we move on, because I do have a little fun segment that I love to do with my guests, and yours will be a little bit more in depth just because. But before we do that, just curious, do we all have certain seasons of expansion or challenge? Like, how does that work in astrology?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Well, I mean, your birthday season, for one, is always this like gorgeous illumination of the
Mm,
energy that makes you you. So, again, even if you know nothing about astrology except the day that you were born and like, okay, that's a Pisces, that's a Sagittarius, whatever,
right.
take it. Take your birthday month. I always take my whole birthday season because I'm
Hmm.
an Aries. Um, but it's because the sun is literally illuminating the place that your sun is in your birth chart.
Mm,
And it's almost a rebirth of sorts every single year.
hmm.
There are planets like Jupiter, which passes through in 12-year cycles, or Venus, which passes through like every few weeks, it passes through a new sign that bring extra expansion, opportunities, possibilities. So, very helpful to know where those are. And yeah, every single planet is connected to a different type of expansion. Some will take
Hmm.
you deeper, some will take you wider, but every single one is there for your growth. They
Okay.
just all they're I like to say that they're like teachers, like think like Hogwarts and think
Yeah.
how, Professor Snape was different than Dumbledore, was different than this one, was different than that one, right? And it's like that's how the planets work is they're each helping teach you a lesson or they're each helping you expand in some way. They're just doing it through their own curriculum.
I love that. Such a great analogy. I love that. Okay, so before we wrap up, we have to have a little fun. We do a little thing called Spark and Spill, but this is going to be a special edition because this is going to be our astrology edition. So I'm going to just throw out some maybe common beliefs, maybe some myths, things people say about astrology, and then you can tell us, is it fact, fiction, or maybe somewhere in between? And feel free to add a little explanation so we can clear the air because I just thought this would be a fun way to do that. So, you ready?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Number one, we
Yeah.
always hear about Mercury retrograde. Does it ruin everything?
No. Okay. So Mercury retrograde is actually a really interesting story. Basically, in the 1960s, newspapers started publishing about Mercury retrograde. And so that was about the time that it became this like whole doom and gloom thing, which is so weird
Hmm.
to me because every single planet has a retrograde.
Okay.
Not every single planet, but most of the planets have retrogrades. So it's not just Mercury that goes retrograde. Like
Hmm.
Pluto is retrograde for half the year. But also, on top of that, retrogrades aren't something to be feared. I love a retrograde. I
Hmm.
love to relook at things, renew things, revisit things, redo things. So think all the re's when you think a retrograde. And then again,
Hmm.
with the energy of whatever that planet is and whatever sign it's in. So
Okay.
currently, we're going through a Mercury retrograde in Pisces. And
Okay.
so that's going to mean something very different than going through a Mercury retrograde in, say, Virgo or a Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, right? So, yeah, definitely not something to be feared, definitely something that you can embrace and you can prepare for. So, if you know that it's Mercury retrograde, don't wait until the last minute to leave your house because there might very well be a traffic jam. Or
I
definitely
love
get to
that.
the airport early because,
Okay.
or there might be a delay at the airport. Again, depending on where it's happening in your own chart, you will know what that means in terms of what might be right, rewind,
Okay.
and where things might take a little bit more time or a little bit more patience. But Mercury retrograde, it really helps us get in touch with our communication and our ways that we work with technology. So again, all the things that have to do with Mercury, it helps us revisit those themes every time. Not to be.
Okay. I love that. I love that. Now, here's the next one because I hear this a lot.
Yes.
Fact, fiction, or something in between.
Yeah.
Full moons make people emotional or chaotic.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, this has been proven actually through
Okay.
anyone who has worked at like an ER, or like bartenders,
A
teachers.
school.
Yeah, I was gonna say teachers, especially because kids are such intuitive little beings. They're not like trying to stuff things down the way adults might. So
Right.
yeah, full moons again, you have to think of what it is astrologically, which is it is the moon and the sun opposing each other. Like I was born on a full moon, so I carry around that intense full moon energy with me my whole lifetime. But
Interesting.
it's the sun and the moon opposing each other. So it's these
Mm,
two opposing energies both being illuminated fully,
mm.
right? So when you think about a full moon, you think about this energy of like, yeah, there's some kind of conversation energetically going on, as well as just scientifically. Like the moon is responsible for the tides in the ocean. We're 70% water. That's why the moon rules emotions in astrology, because we just feel the moon, like we commune with the moon as humans. Again, just scientifically speaking. So yeah, full moons definitely are a little crazy, but every single moon is going to have its own energetic signature. So some are going to be more challenging, some are going to be really fulfilling. Again, it just depends on what is the specific astrology of that specific moon.
Got it. Okay, that makes so much sense. Here's another one. You
Yeah,
can blame your behavior on your zodiac sign.
hell no. Hell no.
I love that answer.
No way, Jose. Here's the thing is, and this is the part of astrology that I love because this is where we can really work with it as a tool. When you
Mm,
consciously know the roadmap and you're not just blindly stumbling through life, but you're like, oh, like I'm a Gemini moon in the 12th house, and this is what this means. Now you have the tools to navigate that. Now
mm,
no, oh, maybe that's why I get a little bit triggered at this thing, or maybe that's why I really gravitate towards people who show up with this energy, right?
hmm
Both of us being into really kind, gentle men. Yeah,
hmm
that makes sense when you look at our astrology, right?
Right.
To guess why that is. And you can even ask, like, oh, but is it nature versus nurture? But what I love is with astrology, it's both because
Mm,
astrology shows that nature and it also shows the ways that you were nurtured and continue to be nurtured and even nurture yourself. So, no, it
interesting.
is not an excuse like anything. It is not an excuse to blame something, but you can say, okay, I am this way because of this aspect. How I work with that. Here's how I grow with that. Here is how I become a better partner if I have Mars square Pluto. Here is how
Yeah.
I, grow my self-worth if I'm a Libra rising, right?
hmm
That's the more interesting conversation.
Yeah. Well, and so obviously it doesn't take away personal responsibility as well, right?
No, in fact, it
It,
literally gives you the opportunity to
yeah, I was gonna
be more
say.
personally responsible and not just stay in the shadow vibration of
Right.
what you've got going on.
I love that. Now, here's one that I hear, and so I would love your take on this. You
Mhm.
have to be, and I'm putting this in quotes, you have to be spiritual to benefit from astrology.
Another hell no.
I
No,
figured you would say that.
the irony is that astrology is not really that spiritual.
That is going to be irony for people, really.
Yeah, astrology is very mathematical, if anything,
Mm,
because it's these precise calculations. Like it's funny to me because sometimes the people who are the most skeptical about astrology, especially like Virgos, Capricorns, right? You think of the people who are going, "Nah, nah, nah," right? When they
yeah.
first hear about it, they become the biggest fans because
Interesting.
astrology is actually pattern recognition.
Mm,
So, so astrology is ironically enough, yes, again, when you look at the origins of astrology, you look at the history of astrology, so much of it, the conversation is again, this is your divine path. This is, what you chose, what God chose, right? Depending on your philosophy. But at the end of the day, the tool itself is about pattern recognition, the same way that, you talk to a historian and it's
yeah.
about pattern recognition, right? Or you talk to a scientist and you're like, oh, okay, like I have noticed these patterns, you know?
Mhm.
So, yeah, so no, you don't have to be spiritual, you don't have to be religious. You also can be spiritual, you can be religious. It's
Mhm.
beautiful because you get to have your own relationship to
I love that.
astrology. There's not just
Mhm.
one way to do it. Like, even with professional astrologers, there's not one way that we all uniformly are. We have our own disagreements and conversations, even within the field itself.
I love that. I love that. So, last question, fact or fiction, or somewhere in between, astrology can help with timing big decisions.
Yes, 100%. It is
Mhm.
the most powerful tool that you could use. Even
Yeah.
if you're using something like human design, a huge chunk of human design is astrology, you
Hmm.
know? So for those who are familiar with that, but yeah, I mean, astrology truly like it has my whole heart because sometimes I'll be going through these moments where I'm like, what is going on? Why do I feel this way? Why is this happening? La 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 la. Even as a professional astrologer, because there's so much going on.
Right.
Look at the chart and I'll be like,
That's why.
why? And here's how I can navigate it. And here's how I can make that better or plan for something different or like roll with the energy, right? Roll with the waves. So,
Hmm.
yeah, it is the most powerful, impactful tool, especially if you're working with a good astrologer. That part
Hmm.
is very, very, very important. You have to be working with someone who knows their stuff. But if you
Absolutely.
are, it is truly the most invaluable tool you could possibly have. And again, no part of astrology says you must do this or you can't do this. It gives
Right.
you choices, and then you get to use your free will to choose your choice.
I love that. Oh my gosh, Catherine, this has been such a fun and eye-opening conversation. And I just feel like, again, I always learn so much when we chat. And I love how I think the thing that I love the most, and I was thinking about this through the interview, is just I love how you make this feel approachable, but you also make it feel really empowering. And that is certainly something that I love. So before we wrap up, I actually want to share what I I want to share what I hope that everyone listening takes away from our conversation today. And for me, it's that reminder that there are so many ways to understand ourselves more deeply, and that curiosity is such a beautiful place to live. You don't have to have all the answers, you don't have to label anything, but just being open to learning and reflecting and noticing the seasons of your life can just be so powerful, and just to be open minded to things. And I hope that this conversation simply really just invites you, as our listeners, to trust yourself more and to stay curious and explore what resonates for you. So, whether that's through astrology, it may or may not be, but maybe it's just a way of paying closer attention to your own wisdom. But Catherine, thank you so much for bringing your perspective and your heart into this conversation. For anyone listening who is feeling inspired and wanting to learn more, where can they find you and connect with you and explore your work, Catherine?
Yeah, absolutely. And just before I say that too, I just wanted to add to what you were just saying that astrology is for all people. Like
Mm,
again, there's no one size with astrology. So even if you just want to dip a toe in and you're just curious, great
I
place
love that.
because that's the majority of my clients, to be honest.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can find me everywhere that you find Katherine Christine Wehler. I'm the only person in the world with my name, so it makes it very easy to find me. I am Katherine_Wehler. That is Wehler on Instagram. I am Katherine Christine Wehler on Facebook. It's katherinewehler.com.
I love it.
My website, very easy to find me everywhere. And also, too, as you find me in these places, I wanted to offer your community a little gift as well.
Oh,
As a
fun.
connect, yeah. Which is I'd love to offer you guys $100 off a one-to-one session called
Amazing.
Crystal Clear, which is fantastic for just looking at astrology in general, looking at timing, whether that is life, business, relationships. It's kind of a catch-all session that I do, and it's an hour one-to-one with me over Zoom, or even in person if you're local to the area that I'm in. And it's just a fantastic place to start. And you guys can use code SHINE, all in caps, to go ahead and get that. But yeah, if you do connect with me, follow me, I would love to hear your takeaways from this. I love everything that goes down in the DMs. Like, I know not everybody loves that, but I personally love that.
Me too. Me too.
I just like human connections. So, yeah, that is how people can find me. And then on top of that as well, if you do go to my website, it'll automatically pop up. But you can go ahead and get a new paradigm wealth activation meditation as well, and just kind of get immersed in this world, listen to my voice a little bit more if that interests you. No, I'm just kidding. But that's a really great entryway into this world as well. But yeah.
Perfect. And we'll have all of this in the show notes, everybody. So we'll make sure it's all there and you can connect with Katherine. And of course, I love that too. I love when you slip into my DMs and tell me what resonated with you. Of course, share this episode out to anybody that you think would be interested or you think might be fascinated by this conversation. And then, of course, we always love tag us on Instagram, Facebook, if you want to share anything there as well. So I just, again, thank you so much, Katherine. So much fun. And thank you so much for being here today. As always, thank you, listeners, for joining us. Keep rising, keep shining, and know your best day is right here waiting for you. We'll see you next week. Thanks for joining me here today. Your presence means the world to me. If you enjoyed what you heard, please consider leaving a rating and review, and don't forget to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Head to the show notes and let's connect. Rise to Shine Co. is ready to support you in coaching, collaboration, life tips, or even a coffee chat. Until next time, keep shining, my friends.